Welcome to my channel. Timeless narrative. In the early 17th century, the world was on the brink of a new age of exploration and trade. European powers were competing fiercely to secure wealth from the East, and the spice trade was at the heart of it all. Among the many players in this global race were the Dutch, who had a singular goal: to break the Portuguese monopoly over the lucrative spice markets of Asia. The Dutch East India Company, or VOC, Verenigde Oost-Indische Company, was founded in 1602 with the aim of controlling trade in Asia and challenging Portuguese dominance. Unlike the Portuguese, who were spread thin across the Indian Ocean, the Dutch focused their efforts more strategically on key coastal regions, especially in India and Southeast Asia. It was through the VOC that the Dutch began their journey into the subcontinent, a story that would shape their legacy in the region. The first significant Dutch expedition to India came in 1595, when Cornelis de Houtman sailed from the Netherlands around the Cape of Good Hope and reached the Indian subcontinent. Though de Houtman's voyage was filled with challenges and confrontations with Portuguese forces, it laid the foundation for what would become a major Dutch presence in Asia. But it wasn't until the formation of the VOC in 1602 that the Dutch truly established themselves as serious players in the Indian Ocean. Their first major foothold in India was established in 1604, when they set up a trading post in Cochin, in modern-day Kerala. The Dutch formed an alliance with the local kingdom of Cochin, offering military support in exchange for access to the region's prized spice trade, particularly pepper. This marked the beginning of the Dutch rivalry with the Portuguese, who had long held sway over the region. The Dutch didn't just want to trade, they wanted to take control. Over the next few decades, the VOC expanded its influence along India's coastline. They established more trading posts, or factories, including in Pulicat in 1610, and later, Surat on the western coast. The Dutch, backed by their powerful navy, engaged in skirmishes with the Portuguese, slowly gaining ground. In 1641, the Dutch achieved a major victory by seizing the strategic port of Malacca, which had been a key Portuguese stronghold. This victory weakened Portuguese control over maritime trade routes and gave the Dutch a foothold in Southeast Asia, indirectly strengthening their position in India. While the Dutch focused heavily on controlling the spice trade, they also became involved in the trade of textiles, indigo, and other valuable commodities from India. Coastal cities like Pulicat became important centers for these exchanges, with the Dutch trading silk and cotton textiles from India for spices and precious goods from Southeast Asia. They built forts and warehouses to protect their assets and ensure that their business ventures in India were secure. However, by the mid-17th century, the Dutch began to face challenges from a rising power in India, the Maratha Empire. As the Marathas expanded their influence across western and central India, they posed a threat to both the Portuguese and Dutch trading operations. The British East India Company, too, was becoming a formidable force, and its growing presence in India gradually overshadowed the Dutch. By the late 18th century, the Dutch East India Company began to crumble under the weight of financial mismanagement, internal corruption, and increasing competition from the British. In 1799, the VOC was officially dissolved, and the Dutch presence in India began to diminish. While they had made a significant impact on regional trade and had established a presence in key parts of India, their influence was ultimately eclipsed by the British Empire. Despite their relatively short-lived dominance in India, the Dutch left behind a lasting legacy. The forts they built, such as Fort Cochin, still stand as reminders of their colonial ventures. Dutch influence can also be seen in the architecture and culture of places like Pulicat, where their trading posts once thrived. Today, though the Dutch no longer hold sway in India, their story is an important chapter in the complex history of European colonialism in Asia. The Dutch were one of the first European powers to challenge Portuguese control, and their pursuit of wealth and power through the spice trade reshaped the global economy in ways that would continue to reverberate for centuries.